Thompson Productions.
And welcome, everybody. This is Tyler Yonke. Are you there? We're going live. I didn't give much announcement. It's Thursday. You're like, what? It's not Legal Wednesday. It's not Party Friday. But we're going to come back. We're going to talk about a few legal things. Some Ashley St. Clair, Gilbert Arenas, and a few other things. Stick around, people.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder, for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
It's the perfect answer. I'm here. Things are getting set up a little bit late, but I think everything is happening. It's happening. What did I watch recently? Maybe we'll talk about that. Someone was in the chat here. They just disappeared on me. But I think let's put the chat up. If you're there, come on in. We'll give everybody a little bit of time. The last episode, Ice Baby, right? We talked about that.
You better hit the bullseye, the king don't play. If there was a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves.
People freaked the fuck out. And I did that episode for a certain reason. And thank you all for proving me correct, which is many of you blindly go along with what your side says or your instincts about who your biases are. Perfectly fine. Just know that, right? Which is, it's funny because in the chat, in multiple chats, I got things like, is he finally going to cover the Tower Gang divorce? Who is this broad? Maybe we'll talk about that. Thank you, Jay Bemke. I don't know. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, ICE stuff. I got many things kind of like calling me a commie or a lefty. It's like, wait a second. If you don't fall in line with the regime police force, you're a lefty. It makes no sense. This shouldn't be a left or right issue. Police can do faults. No audio. Are you fucking kidding me? No audio. Let's double check this here. Hang on. I got a way to check it here. No. I have audio. Refresh, Mr. Boombastic. I'm watching it here. Let's go to here. Over here. Wait, not that one. No, I'm watching. I can hear you. Yeah, I don't know what they did. So here it is. All right. Anyway, I'm not going to go back down the ICE path. We've talked about that ad infinitum. You can have differences of opinion as to whether that was a good shoot or not. I think, and I'm not going to think that you're a lefty, or I don't think you're some sort of fascist because you go toe the line of the police or this lady, whatever. I don't think this is cut and dry. She's a piece of shit. I'm not a fan of what he did either. Let's just move on from there, and we will all be happy family. I think my point there, and I'm going to keep probably reiterating, is just because there's a legal issue or there's some issue in the world, you don't have to reflexively take the side of your party. You can. I'm encouraging you. Hi Magoo. Magoo's in here. JC's in here. I want you to just not reflexively do that, but look at it from your own perspective and make your own position, and then go from there. And if that's it, and you happen to go along with your party or whatever, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just tired of the this is, it's mostly my feelings come of this from the right side, which is the name calling. And if you think about this, many people believe pro-Zionist is a right-wing cause. Okay, they just do. But if you don't reflexively go along with that, are you? Then they'll call you a terrorist lover and all these other things, and it's just like, ease up, ease up. Okay, let's get to the real stuff that I want to talk about tonight. Okay, there's three things I want to talk about on the topic here. Ashley St. Clair and Elon Musk. Okay, rebrand to barely legal with Tyler. Also, new strategy, new algo. I think that's, you might, it is, you know what, you make a good point. This is barely legal too. I need to fix that spot on the wall. I just noticed that here. Going golfing tomorrow, or am I? Or I'm going to work. Okay, Ashley St. Clair and Elon Musk. I want to talk a little bit about that. Okay. I also want to talk about Gilbert Arenas' ring case. This guy gave this lady a ring, a wedding ring, duped her out of it. There was also a spouse for tax write-off thing that, what's his name? Our buddy there from Tower Gang gave me. He said, hey, maybe fodder for the show. So we'll talk about those. Look, it's been a long day, long week already, and it's only Thursday. And so I'm not going to do a long show. I just thought I'd pop in. We'll go over some of these things real quick, and then you guys can do your thing. Okay. This came on from me, and I guess I missed it. Ashley St. Clair, I think she was in some spaces, some other things, and all of a sudden people were talking about her coming out for trans rights. Elon Musk has confirmed he will seek full custody of the 1-year-old son he shares with Ashley St. Clair following her remarks about a potential gender transition. I will be filing for full custody today, given her statements implying she might transition a 1-year-old boy. Okay, so the question you immediately need to ask yourself there is, well, first of all, did she? I don't know, that seems unclear, but she's definitely shown her true colors, and who knows what those are, because according to her now, you can change your colors, change spots or whatever it is. So that is she wrote a whole book about the woke stuff and trans, and now she's literally taken her name off of this stuff, okay? Which is fascinating. So she's obviously a grifter. She's a piece of shit. We all know that. None of this defends Elon Musk. But the real legal issue is here, can he get custody for what she's doing, right? If a parent, because it immediately came to me, California is much like New York, which is best interest of the child. That's the standard for custody. Okay. You got, and that's really, you're like, what's the best interest of the child? Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit unclear. Now, with that in California, part of the best interest standard, there's another family code that tags in there, and it says if a parent is not in favor or does not support the child, I think is how it goes, does not support the child for, okay, her true colors. Her true colors. Solid, Rick. How did I not know that? God, that's brilliant, Jim. If a parent doesn't go along with gender affirming care of what the child wants to do, it can be seen that this is not in the best interest of the child. And if you're not in the best interest of the child as a parent, you can lose custody. So that is actually in California. That's really devious. That's awful. I think that's right. So the question is New York like this? And do we need to, does he have a chance? Does Elon Musk even have a chance? Now, let me see if I can find actually some of the other tweet stuff that she had here. Let's go to this one. Oh, that's him confirming he's going to be filing for it. And what's this one? Okay. This is kind of a tweet that I guess kicked this off with her. She said, dark woke cause. The other option is bootlicking feds plus pedophiles plus nerds. I don't know what that even is. You've previously, and then this person, which is probably a tranny, you've previously engaged in blatant transphobia. How do you feel about trans people in the wake of noticing how the far right truly is? Far right. I feel immense guilt for my role. Interesting. And even more guilt that things I have said in the past may have caused my son's sister more pain. Now, people were saying here that this is about, she has 2 boys. So is she already transing one? And now I think they're talking about the trans child that Elon actually does have that's going through a bunch of mental problems. And so now she's thinking that maybe this person, I guess that's who it is. I don't really know how to make amends for many of these things that I have been trying incredibly hard privately to learn. Plus, can you just advocate for those within the trans community that I've heard? I also haven't said much on this because I have gone back and forth over whether my voice would be helpful on the issue, since it will be framed as disingenuous or just turning because I'm scorned. Even this reply will become right-wing hysteria. But yeah, I'm sorry. Let me know how I can help. Okay, I don't know about right-wing hysteria when you're really turning over you're turning over a new leaf to be on the side of mental illness. That's really what you are doing here. Okay, so here's kind of what started all this kind of stuff. So I think we have to go to X here. I don't know what this looks kind of frightening, but anyway, this is someone asking her a question here, and let's go.
It's interesting that you say that, because a number of people in the United States, including Elon Musk, including J.D. Vance, have talked about the fact that they believe in the UK there is suppression of free speech. But you're saying you welcome the kind of measures that have been brought in this week here.
Abuse is not free speech. Sexual abuse is not free speech. And that should be clear. It's disheartening to see that because of some very laborious restrictions on speech that the UK has passed or attempted to pass in the past, that this issue that is very serious was framed and able to be framed as a censorship issue when it's absolutely not.
It's interesting that you say that.
Let me get to this here, which is, let me go over here. I will do something for you, Andy, which I usually try to do. I do turn the ads on, but what I try to do when I go live is to make sure that they aren't on for the live segment, because I don't want you to have to manipulate your way around ads while the show is actually live. That annoys me as a watcher, and I'm sorry there. So I've turned off the ads for the show. Boom, boom, boom. You should be able to get there now. Okay. So this, we'll go bring this back up here as well. This is what Andy said, hitting 3 ads before I could start even watching this slop. Well, yeah, but I appreciate you getting through it. Baby needs some new shoes. Evidently, I talked about this. If you ever go watch Losercast with Toad, me, Leighton, Broseph Smith, a few other people, we picked loser. I picked Thirsty Grok last week, which was showing everyone in their bikinis. It was a little out of control. Then people are like, oh, it's doing it to kids, which is turning it into child porn. Okay. And then this is her issue. Okay. She can't worry about actual kids getting detransitioned. She's got to go to AI. Now, I'm not in favor of AI turning, young kids into, visions of sugar plums for some pedos out there. But I would say this, that, that's lower on my totem pole of concerns when there's actual kids being abused out there. Okay. She's concerned about her minor self. Okay. That's really what she was complaining about. And it's really because you go after Grok for da-da-da. Now, according to Elon Musk, he said there was nothing on Grok at all, which actually, was posted on there. Here he actually goes on here to say, I am not aware of any naked underage images generated by Grok, literally zero. Obviously, Grok does not spontaneously generate images. It does so only according to user request. When asked to generate images, it will refuse to produce anything illegal, as the operating principle for Grok is to obey the laws of any given country or state. There may be times when adversarial hacking of Grok prompts does something unexpected. If that happens, we fix the bug immediately. Okay, so that's to me interesting if that's true. I haven't gone down this rabbit hole, but once again, this is her making a big deal, I think, out of something that, because is a woman scorned, and she's like, oh, but if you bring that up, you're going to be proving me correct that I'm saying it's a woman scorned. But let's see what this, because I would just say that interview she did there, This one right here
measures the.
She looks like a boy. She looks like a woman who's trying to become a boy. That's, I don't know. Right below here is a tweet I have of Brill and Hollyhand. What's the difference between her and him? Hair. Okay. Okay. Let's go to what she has to say here, because I'm sure it's enlightening.
You're killing people. No, I'm killing boys. Boys are just placeholders. They come and they go.
What? Okay, so that's disturbing. I think we have another thing here. This is this lady's weird. Okay, a public statement regarding Ashley St. Clair. Now, she wrote a book titled "Elephants Are Not Birds," and it was basically, you could take from the title there that she's talking about, you know, men are not women and women are not men. It's like an anti-trans book. Okay, it's just, it's going along with mental health. Okay, Elliot St. Clair. Yeah. Look, I'm gonna backtrack here, because if any of you call me out for this, you have to understand I'm not defending Elon at all. Elon is a gooner. Elliot St. Clair. I don't think this came up because sometimes this system here that I use, I think it auto censors stuff. So Jay Fort said, for being so, quote, smart, Elon sure does dump loads in the worst broads. Yeah, yes, he does. He's thirsty just like Grok is. Okay, so here's a public statement regarding Ashley St. Clair from Trent Talbot, the founder and CEO of Brave Books, bravebooks.com. Over the last decade, we've witnessed a massive cultural shift. Basic foundational truths like biological sex have become controversial. In 2021, we partnered with Ashley St. Clair on a child's book titled "Elephants Are Not Birds." The book communicates a clear truth that our biological sex is not chosen, but something we are given. It has become increasingly apparent that Ashley no longer aligns with the message of the book or with our mission. For that reason, we've reached the mutual agreement with Ashley that her name will be removed from Elephants Are Not Birds in future prints. I'm sure this book was just flying off the shelf, right? I mean, I'm sure it was just... Yeah, we know that. Our position remains unchanged. Brave Books exist to tell stories that affirm timeless biblical truths and to partner with voices who share that conviction and desire to pass it on to the next generation with clarity and courage. That commitment requires discernment on both the stories we tell as well as the partners we choose. That's true in life. That commitment requires discernment in both the stories we tell as well as the partners we choose and create stories with. I'm just saying that from a dating perspective or marriage. We will continue to act with conviction and tell stories that reflect the truths we believe are worth passing on. We're grateful to the families who have welcomed our stories into their homes and trusted us to play a small role in their children's lives. Okay, so there's some stand-up people doing books, and you know what? I would go to Brave Books and I would buy more from them simply because that is something to be proud of. Told you there's nothing she won't do. Ashley St. Clair posted this by Milo. She wrote on the 13th of this month, in effort to make amends in plus, I hate the way this bitch writes. In best interest of all parties, my name will be removed as author of Elephants Are Not Birds, effective immediately. Fantastic. So there you go. We've talked about it. She's a piece of shit. We've known that for years. We know that she's a grifter and whatnot. She wanted a rocket baby. She gets it. And the best part of all this, I mean, this is her ultimate, and this is where women like this should not be given babies by Elon Musk. And you have to, just because you're smart doesn't mean you're street smart. Just because you're intelligent, I said, should say, doesn't mean you're smart. And that's just a problem. Yes, this is Live Minder. And this is a problem that I have with people like him, which is, you know, we have the whole thing, never promise crazy a baby. This is crazy. And the worst part about it is she's going to have influence over this child. And she's going to have influence to the point where she's going to be able to trans him if that's the thing. So hopefully he keeps this, tries to do what he can. I would just say from his perspective, he's got enough money. You need to be part of this child's life. Don't let her raise this child alone because she is certifiable. Never promise crazy a baby. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pray for everyone in divorce courts. Yes, well, I'm there every day, Six Art. I'm in divorce court every day. Pray for me because I'm there. So that's what I want. Okay, but it goes further than there. Let's take a look here. What is the New York standard for best interest of the child? Best interest of the child standard, I looked it up for New York, and Grok has actually helped me here. Grok said, this is the primary and paramount standard applied by New York courts. It's the best interest of the child in all custody proceedings, whether in family court, Supreme Court, during divorce or separation, or other relevant matters under New York law, as well as case law and family court provisions. There is no prima facie right to custody in either parent, and the court determines custody solely based on what deserves a child's best interest. And their breakdown of that is promoting their welfare, health, safety, happiness. Key points about New York works, how this works in New York. The court evaluates the totality of the circumstances rather than a rigid statutory list of factors. This is exactly in California as well. Courts consider a wide relevant factors which may include the child's emotional and intellectual needs, the quality of each parent's home, environment, and ability to provide stability, each parent's fitness, including any history of abuse, neglect, domestic violence, or substance abuse. Yeah, California, there's actually a family code 3044, which is if there's a presumption of, if there's a findings of domestic violence, then there's a presumption that that parent, it's not in the best interest of that parent to have sole or legal custody, and it will be determined. Didn't you get a findings of domestic violence, which is typically the last 5 years, criminal findings, nolo contendere in criminal court, or civil domestic relations, DVPA, which is Domestic Violence Protection Act, anything under there, criminal, civil, findings of that. Okay, just the findings. There's a presumption. So that's pretty typical. The child's wishes, if they're of a certain age, the financial ability to provide for their child, that is not a factor in California. And in matter of fact, it's specific that the ability of the parent to provide for them is not one to be taken into consideration. Now, they do take that into consideration if you're like living in a car and you have no place for the child, then there you can. Willingness to foster a relationship with the other parent, that's a big one in California, and any other factor impacting the child's well-being. Now, that's gonna go into this gender-affirming care shit, okay? So anyway, those are there. And so then I said, is New York, do they have anything like California, which is that it's in the best interest of the child for one parent to confirm the gender affirming care of the child, so to speak, and they said, no, New York does not have a specific statutory provision that mandates or explicitly requires a separate best interest evaluation factor tied solely to one parent affirming a child's gender identity. The state's child custody determinations remain governed by the overarching best interest of the child. They give some statutes if you want that. Domestic Relations Law, Section 240, Family Court Act provision. This is a flexible totality of the circumstances analysis. So, courts cannot consider a parent or guardian's provision of gender-affirming care to the child as a basis of denying, granting, or deciding custody, visitation, or guardianship solely on that ground. Okay, now, New York, which if you look at that, it could be, look, Elon, just because she wants to trans a child, you can't actually use that against her. Is that the case? Provisions of the courts cannot consider a parent's provision of gender-affirming care to the child as the basis of denying, granting visitation. So that could be maybe used against him as well. However, New York's trans safe haven legislation enacted in 2023, signed by Governor Hochul, prohibits New York courts from considering out-of-state laws that would remove a child from a parent for allowing gender-affirming care. It also bars treatment such care as child abuse under New York definitions unless it meets the state's actual abuse neglect standards, and prevents cooperation with out-of-state efforts targeting lawful care in New York. Gender identity and expression are protected under New York human rights. There you go. So I think the big issue, though, is what does this guy do? We talked about this before. There was the guy that everyone was screaming and hollering about, where his wife out here in California took their like twins or something. I think that's what it was, and was transing him, and he was, just all up in arms, and everyone's like, oh, look at California. I looked into it a little bit, and he fucked up in Texas. This was a Texas case, okay? And so it started there. They made some bad decisions. Nobody wants these kind of things, okay? When is Andy finally coming back? I don't know. When you turn gay, I just don't bring you back on the show. So there you go. Okay, so that's kind of the thing. My point is, I think Elon is going to end up talking to his attorneys, and they're going to probably say, look, you're not going to get it for this reason, okay? You're not going to get full custody for that. Why don't you do something about seeing your child more? I don't know if that's actually the case or not. So there you go. Now, let's get to this case here. I haven't taken a deep look into this, but I've looked a little bit here, okay? NBA star Gilbert Arenas proposed to his girl with a $400,000 ring. When they broke up 8 days later, ... They eventually made up, and he faked a relationship with her for a few months so he could switch the ring out with a fake version. She sued him and lost. This is a quote, when my girl and I broke up, I was like, that was effing waste of money. I want my $400K ring back, unquote. So I had a fake ring made to switch it out. Then I called her and I said, hey babe, I miss you. I want to make things right. I faked a whole new relationship with her for about 4 months just to earn her trust and get close enough to make the swap. After I got the real ring back, we broke up again. Then she started going off on social media claiming she made over $500K from me. To show her I didn't lose anything, I posted a picture with that ring. Why would you do that? Hey babe, look at the thing I may have committed against you. She checked hers and realized it was fake. That's when the lawsuit came. She claimed I robbed her and I wanted the ring back. But I had already sold it and used $100K of the money to pay for my lawyer fees. She lost the case. Okay. Now, with this is a very interesting thing. Let me just tell you. So typically a ring, it's a little different everywhere, but you can say you give someone a ring, pretty hefty amount, and that it is a promise, a contract, your obligation to marry, okay? So if you don't get married, is that then the possession of the person who bought it? Typically, you're like, no, I'm sorry, it's her separate property, it's a gift. It didn't go through. Maybe you need to work these details out. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, you should give the ring back. Maybe it's a family deal or not. But typically, let's say you get married and you get divorced. You don't get to have, I've had one party, I really want that ring back. I paid a lot. And I'm like, well, okay, you fucked up then. That's just, I don't know what you want him to say. There is this argument of the Kobe Bryant argument where the ring is of such value as compared to the community that it must be considered a community asset. But typically it's a separate property of the other party, of the spouse that you're giving it to, and you're kind of just SOL. Now, they didn't get married. He gave her this ring, a lot of money, da-da-da-da-da. Now, is this really what happened here? I tried to look through some of this stuff here to see what the actual facts were of the case. I haven't looked up the whole case number. Here's the case, but here's some of the stuff. Lawsuit involving engagement ring stems from the tumultuous relationship with ex-fiancée Laura Govan, the mother of his 4 children. I mean, come on, dude. Your 4 kids. In 2008, Arenas proposed with a diamond ring valued at around $395,000 and $1 million. Reports vary. Yeah, like $600,000. The engagement ended just 8 days later, leaving Arenas regretting the purchase. He had a replica made for about 10 to 20. After briefly reconciling, he swapped the ring out. Years later, during the 2014 breakup and custody battles, he posted a photo of the original ring on social media, alerting Govan that hers was fake. She sued him around 2015, accusing him of forcibly... Now, this sounds like the same story, but there's going to be a little bit different details in here. Of taking the ring, selling it, and owing her proceeds or compensation, part of the broader claim, including palimony. Okay, palimony, which is basically like support Some states will have this. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Anyway, but it's like support if you're not married. Who's the guy? The Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen movie cast. Lee Marvin. Okay, it's called a Marvin in California, at least. It's a Marvin action. So that's a situation where Lee Marvin was married to he wasn't married to her. It was another actress, and he was taking care of her. And then they broke up, and she sued him for palimony, basically. And they're like, this is actually take it to civil court, not in family court specifically, but take it as if this was just your roommate. And so basically, fuck her. Years later, broader claims of palimony. Arenas countered that he never sold it initially, had receipts proving the swap, and used the proceeds from the eventual sale to cover legal fees and disputes. The ring-related claims were dismissed. Some reports say due to missed court dates by Jovan's side, and Arenas prevailed. He openly discussed the story. Now, note, this is separate from Arenas' 2025 federal charges related to an illegal poker gambling ring, not an engagement ring. Grok, you're funny. The query likely refers to the well-known Groban dispute. Okay, now what I want to mention here, because if you look back in here, she did not show up in court. So it makes it sound like, wait, how do you get away with doing this? I mean, you gave it to her, it was hers, then you stole it, you swapped it. This would be conversion. That's a technical term, a legal term of like you're basically stealing her property, okay? Because she didn't show up in court. I don't know if she filed a police report, she filed civil actions against him. She didn't really, so he ended up winning by default, I think. That's really what happened here. So, hey, are we talking about gold diggers? Close. Gold ones. Say what you want about Elon Musk implementing BPD girls. At least he doesn't smash his potatoes afterwards like Jean-Francois. Didn't that guy, if you don't know, I think I know who you're talking about. The guy that's, it's kind of in that Nick Fuentes world, and he married like a lady that was, I want to say mentally disabled, had kids with her, and she's just disappeared. Right? I think that's the case. Okay, so let me go through here. Here's more stuff if you want to go check out the case filings. It's in Los Angeles County. The ring-related claims allege Arenas took back and sold the ring, but these were ultimately dismissed or resolved in his favor. Reports indicate the dismissal in 2016, partly due to procedural issues like missed court appearances. Yeah, you're not going to show up. They're going to just dismiss the case in total. Okay, last one. This is from our boy. Oh my God, how come I can't remember what's his name? This doesn't do any justice if I don't look him up here. You're gonna hate me as soon as I figure out who we're talking about here. It's just one of those days. Oh, Mark Vestibule. Yeah, Mark Vestibule sent me this. So here we are. This is another legal family law thing, and it's this. Someone put, looking to marry someone with 1 million of short-term capital gains in California. For tax savings, I have 1 million in plus losses and split the savings. And you're like, okay, what? Yeah, so look, we have arranged marriages. I don't know that maybe the IRS is going to come out and have some conversations with people if they try to do some fancy, footwork to get around the tax laws. But how are you going to, wasn't this a movie with Adam Sandler? They got married for like a tax write-off or something like that, or to claim benefits. I don't know if it's gay. I probably don't watch it. But you can do things like that. And there's many cases where you marry someone for a green card, and then they've got to come over, and the INS has to come over and watch you have sex to make sure it's no, they don't. Okay. But can you do it for tax reasons? Let's take a look. I would first consult not a priest, not a family law attorney. I would first consult a CPA, tax attorney, to see if this is even a legit kind of thing you can do. Looking to marry someone with 1 million of short-term capital gains. for tax savings. I have $1 million in losses and we can split the savings. I unfortunately lost a bunch of money this year with some risky gambles and have 1.2 million of capital losses. Now you can only, from what I know, you can only write off so much loss, right? I would like to marry someone with very large short-term capital gains and split the difference on the tax savings. I am proposing keeping 40 cents for every $1 of capital losses I provided for myself and offering you the remainder, 10 cents or so, 120K contacts if you are at the highest tax bracket. The formal agreement can be formalized with a lawyer in relation to the marriage. Yeah, it's just a prenuptial agreement. Slight preferences for females. Right, okay. However, slight preferences for females, but open to males too. Preference is just to avoid having to explain why I, straight male, married a man in the future. Now, to make your marriage legit, there's certain factors, and we'll walk through those in a little bit here and to see what they actually have to do to make this a valid marriage. Otherwise, you can look to get it annulled. And if you're getting a marriage annulled or void, then you might have some issues with the IRS. Because did this marriage actually happen? No, it didn't actually happen. So you don't just get to have this marriage and then get it annulled later. You can get divorced, right? Slight preference for female. Yeah, there you go. Prefer if you are in LA SoCal area, as that's where I'm located. Marriage would need to occur before the end of the calendar year. I wonder if they got this done. For clarity, despite the heavy losses, I was going to bring this up. I'm not a total loser. Make several $100,000 a year. Good job, etc. I'm not that risky. If you're a serious suitor, we can discuss more. Please DM or chat me with serious inquiries. Okay, that's fascinating. So it's California, legal. I forgot to look this up because I don't just remember everything. Okay. Here's what you got to do. Age and capacity. Both parties must be at least 18. Okay, assuming that's if you got $1 million in gains and losses. They have to consent. The individual must have a mental or emotional capacity to understand the nature of marriage, including its legal and personal responsibilities, and give free and voluntary consent. Consent obtained through fraud, coercion, or intoxication may render the marriage voidable. Okay, not void. Void, and there's certain things in contracts, as an example, you enter in with someone, if you're entering with someone with a total mental capacity, they just can't enter into that. And so it would be a void contract. Then there's some of those things where it happens, maybe you enter in with someone who's under 18 and it's more voidable, but they turn, then they're of legal age and you're like, yeah, maybe they're like, yeah, but I want to keep this contract. So it's voidable, but we're going to make it good. Eligibility, marriages are prohibited between close relatives, okay, including parents and children and siblings, full or half, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews. Such marriages are void from the beginning and may result in criminal charges. There you go. You can't even do it. A person must be unmarried, divorced, widowed, annulled before entering in a new marriage. Bigamy is a crime under California Penal Code. In most states it is as well. So those would be void marriages, okay? Marriage license. A valid marriage license must be obtained from the California County Clerk's office. Both parties must appear in person and valid government photo issued ID. The license is valid for 90 days from the issuance and used anywhere in the state. There is no residency or citizenship required. So there you go. Those are some factors. Eligibility, age, consent, must be, certain familial relations, not so that you can actually get married. Ceremony and solemnization. The marriage must be solemnized by an authorized officiant, such as a judge, clergy member, or designated public official. Self-solemnization is not allowed except for in certain religious groups, like Quakers, under certain internal procedures. The ceremony must include a declaration by both parties and to take each other as spouses. Proxy marriages are not permitted except for in rare military cases involving overseas service members with a valid power of attorney. So you get a power of attorney And we've been rated on the stream. Thanks for coming over, Restore Christian Show. You get someone to stand in for you for your marriage, and you can have a third party, your power of attorney, durable power of attorney, to come in and stand in for you only in certain things. Post-ceremony requirements. The signed marriage license must be returned to the county clerk within 10 days. The official or designated person is responsible for this. Once filed, the marriage is officially recorded. A confidential license is available. Both parties are already living together as spouses and does not become part of the record. Legal recognition. California does not recognize common law marriage, okay? But it honors marriages legally formed in other states that do. We've talked about common law marriages. Dave and Wilson went over the stuff, and they were talking about common law marriage, both completely wrong. Go back and watch my stuff on that. You don't just get to spout bullshit. Actually, you do. People do it all the time. A marriage validly performed under any jurisdiction recognized by full faith and credit of the United States. Failure to meet any of these requirements may result in a marriage being void or voidable. Now, here's the question. Does a marriage need to be consummated in California to be legal? There we go. California, marriage does not need to be consummated to be legally valid. That blows me away. Even though I'm an attorney, I knew that because I had someone come in not too long ago that wanted to get annulled. Short-term thing, I don't remember the whole thing, but they hadn't slept together. So I'm like, well, let's take a look. Because I'm like, pretty sure you got to consummate this marriage and have sex to make it legit. Evidently not in California. California law explicitly states that the capacity to consummate a marriage is not a requirement for marriage to be valid. According to Family Code, Section 301, two unmarried persons who are 18 or older and not otherwise disqualified are capable of consenting and consummating a marriage. However, the language is about capacity, not legal requirement. Consummation is not a legal requirement for marriage and validity in California. Why was I doing this? I was just talking about this because this guy's like a little bit brave. Hey, let's make this deal. You want this to be married and to a guy, then you're going to have to go all the way, buddy. But evidently that's not the case. So that's pretty disappointing. I realized she was a slut when she was pregnant with her first child and refused to talk about her baby daddy with her first child. I don't know of that situation, SM 2049, but I will tell you this. We talked about Ashley St. Clair. If you're new here, you want to go look, you go back in our channel and we talked about it. Elon Musk was giving her a deal, okay? And she didn't like this deal, which was like an absurd amount of money a month. It's like a few $100,000, I think. A lot of money, okay? And he was willing to give her more. Just don't come out publicly about this kid. And she insisted on doing that. And then she pushed everything. And she then went to court, filed for paternity, which they could have made an agreement outside of court, okay? But filed for paternity and then asked the court to determine spousal support or child support. However, here's where she fucked up because she ended up getting a support order. I don't know what it is, but you can infer from everything. She talked about this huge pay cut she got. So I think that's how she framed it. When she came out of court and she had to get rid of her Tesla, she had to move from her high rise, like $50,000 a month type of rent, all this stuff that he was paying for and was fine to pay for. But she pushed it because she wanted everyone to know about this child with him. And I think she wanted to blast him because she was pissed off at him. So she went the other route. Perfectly fine. She has every right to do so. You just have to, there's a cost benefit analysis in all these things, right? And you can't say that she's like some sort of trad wife because she's into troons now. So, I don't know what she is, but she's not smart and she didn't have good attorneys helping her out, which is you could have just gone along, gotten a lot more money, socked it up. And at some point when you're getting it, you don't have to live in this fancy place, right? You could have like made a lot more money. Some of the money he was giving you, sock it away, but it had to be on durable goods, I guess, or whatever it is, your rent. Pretty crazy shit. Okay. Is there anything else that we want to talk to you about? I don't think I'm going to have a show tomorrow because I'm going to be kind of out of it. I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Former U.S. Navy sailor sentenced to 200 months for spying for China. Director Kash Patel says, FBI taking down espionage once again. Jinku Wai, a former U.S. Navy sailor who swore an oath to defend this country instead to sell America's secrets to Chinese communists. We caught him. We now have been sentenced for 200 months in federal prison. Now, evidently, this happened all way back before he came into office. I think they're just now sentencing him. So this is a little bit, sketchy as far as that goes. But I'm also interested into why are we not doing that for, other people, such as these kind of people. I mean, there's just as much, I think, anti-Americanism coming from people like, is it this one? Or is this the one?
Defeat racism, because racism is a mentality and an ideology, right? You can't dictate your way out of how people think. What you can do is you can tell a bus driver in the 21st century that if you tell a black guy to go to the back of the bus, we will haul your ass to jail that night.
Why would you do that? Why would you haul someone to jail for telling someone they have to go to the back of the bus? Is that a criminal thing? I don't know that is criminal. Okay, could be wrong.
Yet for whatever reason, when it comes to anti-Semitism, when someone commits an anti-Semitic act, we don't send them to jail. Instead, we get the ADL to say, let's bring them to a Holocaust museum, which A, gives them pretty bad ideas, and B, doesn't solve anything about the fundamental issue that they violated the law. So the way we solve anti-Semitism is pretty goddamn simple, and I'm really besides myself that we don't push for this with all the major Jewish organizations. When someone commits a crime, stop sending them on El Al flights. That will.
First of all, this guy, he's got a little hat on, so you got to, grant him some accommodations for his mental abilities here, because he's confusing words and violence. Okay, now he's talked about the Civil Rights Act. Is the Civil Rights Act, does the federal government or even the state government under the Federal Rights Act, do they have the police powers? Is it against the law? In other words, is it a criminal act to do something, or is it just violating their human rights, their civil rights, and you have to pay, reparations, so to speak? I don't think it's criminal. Okay, I don't think you're going to be putting someone in jail for that. You're going to lose your job. You're going to have to pay some fees. You're not going to. I don't know what that's the issue, right? I don't think you get to file violations of Civil Rights Act in criminal court. Okay, I'm pretty sure about that. So he's obviously wrong there. Then there's no criminal things to be anti-Semitic. Now there is criminal act. You take it out of anti-Semitism, and if you do something that is just a normal tort, not a tort, a criminal act like assault, battery, any of this kind of stuff. Okay, well then, yeah, who cares what your religion or what the reason was, okay? If you've ever seen stuff, except for what this guy wants you to do, if you've ever seen things reviewed criminal statutes, for the most part, the motive doesn't matter, okay? People are like, what was the motive for this? Why did he do this? It really doesn't matter. The fact is he did, okay? Or she did. This guy wants your motives to matter, which then goes into what you were thinking, and now you're talking about thought crimes.
We'll make them more anti-Semitic, I guarantee it. Send their ass to jail. It's not complicated. I don't care if people think that we have horns. I don't care if people think we control the banks. I don't care if people think that we run Hollywood.
You do, because you just said anti-Semitism, which is, you've said all those things in the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, is... there. So if you say those things about someone, you're anti-Semitic, and you just said if you're anti-Semitic, you want them to go to jail. So.
Have them think what they want. What I care is when they throw rocks through the synagogue. And
okay, that should be. And you're telling me that that's not against the law right now? In what universe has this guy been living?
Only response when people throw rocks through a synagogue is prosecuting them, which is why when...
Who's against that?
Claudine Gay, the serial plagiarist at Harvard University, was discriminating against the civil rights of Jewish students. We filed a lawsuit.
Yeah, you filed a lawsuit. There was nothing criminal about what
the
she
law
was doing.
Into our hands. And I encourage any student, whether you are Jewish or Christian, anytime your civil rights are being violated, hold your universities accountable. For those of us who live in New York, anytime Mamdani violates the law or Students for Justice in Palestine violate the law, stop sending them to Holocaust museums, stop sending them to ADL dinners, send them to jail instead.
Oh, there's so much confusion there. He can't just fawns all over himself. There's a distinction between criminal acts and then what this guy wants. Let's be honest, okay? He wants you mission accomplished. Yeah. So that's disturbing. That's your right wing, and so if you're not on board with that, because that's PragerU, you're a communist, right? You're a communist if you're not in favor of that. And I'm like, I'm not in favor of that. I'm really not in favor of the ICE. And I'll say this last thing before we head out here, piss you guys off one more time. I think what's happening with the ICE situation is not good for the optics side, and it's not good for the overall situation, and it's only going to make things worse. You're going to get these dumb people protesting, but once again, if they were exporting people that you were actually wanting them to, you wouldn't have a problem. And maybe you want them to export this lady that got shot, but it's bad for the optics. And with that, I am going to say I'm not in agreement. That's all I'm saying there. All right, everybody. Will I be Friday? Likely not tomorrow. Likely not, but I appreciate you all coming in tonight. Have a good one. And until next time, take care.
Okay, I'm leaving now.
But she's back.
And now.
Tyler, if you had any clout about you, if you had any like knowledge of the real world,
none of us are screaming, let's kill Tyler.
Tyler says my
Jewish princess. You low-key, you're one of the funniest dudes like in the like Liberty world that I know.
More or less, eat shit and die.
He's just a podunk lawyer somewhere in like rural California. He's an idiot, really.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. And I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Do you see what he just did to Tyler?
I feel like you don't get the appreciation for your humorous wit.
What are you talking about? I didn't say that. Why don't you argue with something I said, you dumb bastard?